Starting the recording. Starting the stream to the stream.
Here,
And
let me close the closet door real quick. Sorry,
okay.
I didn't realize it was on. It was open.
Yeah, you're moving around like I'm moving around.
Yeah, it's that lower tailbone,
Ugh.
the lower part of my tailbone. So it's like
Okay.
gingerly sitting up and down. That's all.
Okay, here we
Okay.
go. By the way, that all was bonus for you people watching on YouTube.
Oh, the YouTube people that may or may not be watching, I guess.
So we start the recording and that's what goes on YouTube, not the
Oh, okay.
live stream. So
Gotcha. Did
you're
not know that.
going live. And we're live here on Facebook. I'd like to welcome those listening in podcast land. And hi, Rich. Welcome to you.
Hey, Mike. Yeah, and even though we were kind of talking and welcome also to the folks catching the YouTube video as well.
Yeah.
So, Mike, how was your week? How you feeling?
It's been a busy week this week, and Rich, I am sore.
Yeah.
This morning, last night we got the call that our quarter cow was ready to be picked up, and so I went and picked it up by myself, which meant slinging around 200 pounds worth of meat, getting it into the car by myself, and then carrying it into the basement to load it up. That is a workout, I tell you what.
And you're feeling it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think out of shape and in shape, I think you probably would have felt it either way. I'm sore as well. Just took one wrong step trying to starting to leave in the morning, going down the stairs to get to the landing, and took a little bit of a tumble down 2-3 stairs, and
Ugh, that
yeah,
always
messed
sucks.
up my tailbone, and at my age, you just don't recover as quickly as you used to.
We're getting old, Rich.
We are, but
Man,
if I'm hanging in there,
good.
taking the Advil, putting some biofreeze on the area, and just waiting for stuff to go back to normal. And that's all you can do at this point.
Yep, yep. Hot tubs,
All right, Mike.
hot tubs,
Yeah, I don't have
or
that. I
saunas.
hear you may or may not be getting a chance to do that.
Oh yeah, we're going up to Minneapolis tomorrow, so I'll be jumping in a hot tub and enjoying that tomorrow night. I'm gonna need it. Okay, so
Awesome.
Rich, we actually have kind of a light but busy, but full show. Like we're gonna talk. The NFL is gonna be the majority of the sports we're talking about because that's really the biggest thing we have right now for news. So Rich, that's the one topic I'll cover in this preview. And we're going to talk about
That's
the
really
best singer. What
that,
else
that
do we have? You have a couple other things on here.
Yeah, well, we'll kind of talk a little bit about World Cup. This may or may not be the first and last time we talk about the World Cup until it
We're
starts
talking the
getting into
World
the.
Cup. Come on now. Games
We'll
start
talk.
games start Sunday. So have you picked your team?
I haven't.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. I haven't picked a team yet. I'll try and watch some games. I really will. I'll try and watch some games, and
It's going to be on Fox.
yeah, some things on Fox. But yeah, with Sling, I do also get FS1
Okay.
with
Yeah.
Sharon Sling. But also MLB. Pete Rose is getting back in the news, and the Jason Hayward era officially ended
Rich, all
this
that and
week.
more. But let's roll the intro. Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich. And we're back. Okay, Rich. So before we get into the NFL and all the other topics we're going to talk about today, basically two, let's talk our poll question.
Yeah, so Mike, we went techno for this week's songs, with Sandstorm and Kercraft 400.
Yeah, that
Both songs that you probably wouldn't know by the name, but if you heard them, you'd know that song, or
yeah,
you'd be familiar with them.
yeah,
So I
and
went with Kern Craft 400, Mike.
I listened to it, and I um, I listened to both of them. I recognized both of them, and I went with Kerncraft 400. So
All right, Mike, where did the people go?
we only had 4 votes this week.
Okay,
Sandstorm got 25% of the votes. Your father voted for it.
okay.
And joining you and I was Bob Driscoll.
Bob Driscoll with Kern Craft 400. All right, so the Kern Craft will move on once we decide to formulate the second round. So Mike, kind of the two songs I kind of paired up together is thinking that this is the song that would play when your team needs a rally going into the final, like 2 minutes if we're talking football, maybe the bottom of the ninth for baseball. And we're going to go with We're Not Going to Take It or Don't Stop Believing.
Man, so this one I think is actually a really easy one because the one I'm thinking of, as soon as it comes on, everybody at the top of their lungs is singing it.
Yeah.
I think you could say,
That's you would be correct. So I'll try and get that poll live probably sometime tomorrow.
okay,
Sometime tomorrow because it's kind of late at night, as you can tell by the somber roll that intro.
yeah, I'm spent, but
I know.
we
It's
got
all good.
it for you. We got it for you. Okay,
We're good.
so exciting
Mike.
things this week. We're gonna head into the gridiron and talk the NFL. So, Rich, as we talk the NFL this week, let's look back at last week, week 10, and Thursday night football for week 11. Week 10, I picked as my lock of the week the Eagles over the Commanders, and the Commanders pulled off the upset.
They sure did. I was surprised by that game, but this just goes to show you may not want to pick a divisional game as a lock, even if it's a team, an undefeated team like the Eagles.
Yep.
However, I think this could take some pressure off the Eagles.
Oh yeah.
As they continue to roll on into the regular season.
Yeah,
so,
I totally agree.
All right, Mike.
Rich,
I did the Chiefs over the Jaguars, and the Chiefs won 27-17. So, Mike, I'm 7-2-1. You're 6-4. Mike, how did the upset specials go?
I picked the Vikings over the Bills, and in overtime, the Vikings pulled it off. You picked the Cardinals over the Rams, and you were correct. Rich, what are our records when it comes to our upset specials?
Mike, we are both 5-5. Getting back to that Vikings team, how crazy is that they got stuffed on almost within not even the red zone, but within 5 yards of the end zone.
They got stuffed. No, they didn't get
was it 2
stuffed.
yards? Was it within 2
It was
yards?
on the 1 yard line.
Okay.
It was on the half yard line. So when the Bills have to come in and make their move, they do a quarterback sneak to get out of the end zone, and they miss the ball, they fumble it, giving the Vikings a touchdown. We thought they were going to win. And then Josh Allen, who everybody thinks needs to have Tommy John surgery, marches his team down the field to get a field goal, tying the game, and sending it into overtime. I really thought I needed to send some medical attention to my father-in-law to make sure he hadn't had a heart attack 4 different times in 5 minutes.
But yeah, it's just a crazy game. So hats off to the Vikings going into Buffalo and getting that win and doing it in the way that getting the win like they did.
Yeah.
So So I don't know. I mean, the commentators of the game were saying, well, do you take the safety, give them the 2 points, and do the free kick, and all right, force them to get in the field goal range.
That is, I was talking so regularly. I call my dad up and we watch football games together just because it's fun. And he misses it. That cuddling up on Sundays afternoons watching football together. So occasionally I'll call him up and we'll just watch games together. And we were watching that game together, and it was ridiculous. And I said, "You take the safety here. You run out the back of the end zone. I mean, yes, you bring it within 3, so that the best they like, even if they get a field goal, they tie you. But you got to trust your defense."
Yeah, I mean, if anything, it just goes to show. I mean, even if even if Buffalo had a good running game, had like a prototypical big bruising running back on their roster, the handoff still wouldn't have worked because
No.
of how Josh Allen mishandled the fumble.
Yeah,
Fumbled the ball, and it was on the exchange between
Yeah.
the center and quarterback.
Okay.
But so anyway, that's the Browns. That was the upset specials. Mike, you were correct on the Bears, as the Lions pulled it off, getting Dan Campbell, Lions' first road victory as coach, as they won 31-30. Mike, you're 8-2 picking the Bears. I'm 6-4, and the Bears are 3-7.
I'm 8-2 picking against the Bears most weeks.
Mike, how did Thursday night football go?
Thursday night football, we both picked the Titans. They pulled it off, bringing your record to 6-5 and mine to 7-4. That was over the Packers.
27-17 Titans.
Yeah. So, Rich, before we give you our picks of the week, let's look at our power rankings. These power rankings, folks, first, Rich and I give you our eye test. Then we give you a breakdown of what we also have the ELO, which is a purely it's a mathematical formula based on whether or not you should have won, if you did win, how that affected. Anyway, there's a bunch of math that goes on with that. And then we take both the eye tests and the ELO, smash them together, and that's what gives us our power rankings. Rich, this week, who do you have at number 1?
Even though they lost their first game, I'm keeping them at number 1, the Philadelphia Eagles.
I like that pick, but I am going to give it to a team that got their statement win. And I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay, I don't disagree with you too much on that one. For me, it comes down to the head-to-head matchup. The Eagles and Vikings played each other. The Eagles won that game, so that's why it's going to take 2 losses, and probably the Vikings sticking with 1 loss until I'm able to swap those 2 from my perspective.
I think that the Vikings, their signature. I mean, they have better, bigger signature wins, and so I got to go with that.
All right, so
but
I did have the Vikings at number 2, though.
At number 2, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. The power rankings have the Kansas City Chiefs at number 1. The ELO has that can't be right. I gotta bring this up again. Yeah, that got screwed up. Okay, we're not looking at that anymore.
So maybe we'll just go with our power rankings instead of the ELO, I guess.
We're going to go with the power rankings and not the ELO.
Okay. And who are 1 and 2 according to the power rankings, Mike?
The Kansas City Chiefs and the Minnesota Vikings. But these are all off because the ELO being off is going to screw up everything else. So
we'll just go off of our rankings, I guess.
Yep.
So, Mike, who do you have at number 3 then?
Number 3 is where I have the Buffalo Bills.
Well, Mike, I had to go with the Kansas City Chiefs here. The Bills have 3 losses. The Chiefs only have 2.
Okay, and I can understand that, but I have the Kansas City Chiefs at number 4. Um, you know, so are these the 4 teams we're going to see in the uh, in the in the championship games?
I think so.
Like,
I really do, but there's a part of me that I'm starting to come around with a lot of people talking about it. Um, in bigger sports media, and that might be the Baltimore Ravens
okay, so where do you
that
have
could get
them?
in and go on. So my number 4 is the Bills. Number 5 was the Ravens.
Guess what? This is the first one we match on. Number
Okay.
5 is the Baltimore Ravens. Number 6, I have the Dallas Cowboys.
Who'd you put in your 4 spot?
Oh, I thought I said the
The Chiefs.
the Chiefs. Yeah.
Okay. Um, uh, so number 6 is where you put the Cowboys.
Yep.
Okay, I put the Dolphins here, and I have the Cowboys at 7.
At 7, I have the New York City Jets.
The New York Jets.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I put the New York Football Giants at number 8,
Okay.
followed by the Seahawks at number 9.
I have the Dolphins, and then the Seahawks, and then my number 10, rounding out the top 10, the
Okay.
New York Football Giants.
All right, this is where I put the New York Jets.
Okay.
So we have the same teams within the top 10.
Yeah. By the way,
Really are.
so who would if I would have told you at the beginning of the year that you would have Miami, both New York teams, and Seattle in the top 10? How crazy? How much would you try to get me institutionalized in a mental facility for that craziness?
Well, probably not. But I mean, I thought that the Dolphins could be this good. That there was a lot of potential there if things went right, and they have gone right.
But
And they really have gone
but
right.
I'm saying all of
I
those
didn't, but no,
teams.
but the Giants, the Seahawks, and the Jets. No, I did not think that they would be in the top 10 this late in the year.
And especially after you had the Geno Smith coming in and Russell Wilson leaving, nobody thought that the Seahawks had any hope, and they're in the top 10. That is crazy. Okay,
If the season ended today, they'd win the West.
yeah. Okay, Rich, we are going through our entire power rankings. So, folks, one thing that we always like to take time frames and look at them. Next week, we're going to be next to each other, and we might talk about it again. But our shows where we're not in our normal setups, we have a harder time talking about stuff, and so we're going to want to talk about all of the teams in the power rankings because we're at Thanksgiving. That's one of those big milestones in the NFL. So let's get to it as we move on from number 10. At number 11, I have the Cincinnati Bengals.
I put the Tennessee Titans here, Mike.
That's not a bad spot for them as I have them at 12.
12, I have the San Francisco 49ers.
Okay. Who do you have at 13, Rich?
Those Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay, I have at 13 the San Francisco 49ers.
All right.
At 14, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
14, I went with the Superchargers.
Okay. And at 15, I went with the New England Patriots.
This is where I went with the Buccaneers.
Okay. And then at 16?
The Patriots.
Okay. And 16 is where I have the LA Chargers. Folks, this is pretty common. This time of year, teams are starting to show you who they are. This is why we always look at this. This is why I think that this is a great time to kind of. This is when the teams that are going to be something have stepped up. That's why I expect to see. I expect the top 10 are the only teams that are going to make the Super Bowl. One of those top 10, I don't think somebody outside of either the top 10 right now will make the Super Bowl.
I'd have to disagree with you slightly, Mike.
Okay, who out of the
For-
top 10 do you think could make the Super Bowl?
I would more like to talk about would not make the Super Bowl. And for me, it'd be the Jets and the Giants. I think.
Okay, I agree, but I'm saying what my statement is more about, and I'm not disagreeing with your statement. I don't think they're going to make the Super Bowl. I don't think probably the Cowboys make the Super Bowl this year. Even I don't think Seattle makes the Super Bowl. I think probably out of the top, it's probably the top 5 are the only teams that really do have a good chance at making the Super Bowl this year of what we've seen. But I will almost I will do. We'll have to come up with a good bet, but I would do a bet that that anybody outside of the top 10 will not make the Super Bowl this year.
Well, nobody saw the Bengals going on their run that they went on last year.
That's true. That's true.
And
And the
me,
Titans do well in playoff games too.
They do. And I'd also look out for the 49ers once they're starting to get everybody healthy.
Yep.
And they're still trying to adjust and see how they can best use Christian McCaffrey on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah. They could.
So I would look out for the Niners.
But I don't know that they'll be able to mount a rally between what they have. And I mean, they might win the West. They'll make the playoffs. I'm sure they'll probably make the playoffs. But I don't know that they're gonna have anything for either the Eagles or the Vikings this year. I mean, those two teams, darn hard to beat. But
all right, Mike. So keeping on moving on
Yep.
List Radio here. Who did you put in at number 17?
17 is where I have the football team that resides in Washington. Known as the
I put
Commanders.
Washington as well at 17. 18 is where I put the Green Bay Packers.
This is where I have the Rams.
Okay.
At 19, I have the Green Bay Packers.
I put the Dirty Birds, the Falcons, at number 19.
At 20 is where I have the Dirty Birds.
I went with the Rams at number 20. So we're
Okay.
pretty close.
Yep.
Slightly different order. For me, I mean, the Falcons are right up there as in the South, the division that nobody really wants to win right now. And I think I had to move the Packers out of the 20s and into the low teens because they pulled off an upset against the Cowboys and
No, they
against
didn't.
the Cowboys. So
I thought they lost against the Cowboys.
no, they won against the Cowboys. It was
Oh.
in overtime, but they still pulled off the win.
Okay.
So that's what got me into the low teens. If I was accounting for their loss to the Titans, I think I'd still hold them at that position because the Titans are a little higher
Yeah.
on the list, and I wasn't expecting them to win that game.
Yeah.
So at number 21, Mike, I put the Arizona Cardinals.
21 is where I have the Las Vegas Raiders.
Ooh, man. All right. Oh, goodness. That's probably our biggest gap there, Mike.
Yeah.
That's our biggest gap.
I mean,
Biggest
mostly
gap.
because I think the other teams between here and there are worse teams. The Raiders have been playing a tough schedule, and I think by the end of the year, the Raiders end up with a better schedule than anybody that's below them at this point. That I have
Okay.
below them.
All right. But I'm sorry, Mike, but the way I'm doing my power rankings right now, and I know I flipped the script and do it totally different as we get into the final 3-4 weeks.
Yep.
I got to look at what are you doing for me right now, and I have the Raiders much lower on my list. We'll get there.
We'll get there. At 22, I have the New Orleans Saints.
I went with the Cleveland Browns.
I have them at 23.
23 is where I have the Indianapolis Colts.
Okay, I have them a bit lower, but that's okay. Uh,
Okay.
24. What do you have, Rich?
The New Orleans Saints.
I have the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay.
25. I have is where I have the Denver Broncos.
I put the Chicago Bears here at number 25.
Rich, you are too hot on the Bears.
I probably am, but
20.
maybe it's the Justin Fields fever that everybody's got right now, and he's put up some pretty good numbers on the fantasy side for me.
Okay.
On some other leagues that we're not in together, some other leagues that I have them in, they're at least entertaining to watch right now.
Yeah.
It's just, but where's the defense that was keeping the offense in the game when the offense couldn't do anything?
We traded them away. Who do you have at 26,
Yeah,
Rich?
we did. 26, I put the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay, that's where I have the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right.
27 is where I have the Indianapolis Colts.
I went with the Panthers here.
Yeah, I think you're a little hotter on the Panthers than I am.
It's more that I'm really down on the teams below them.
At
More than I'm hot on them.
8 is where I finally have the Chicago Bears.
All right. 28, I went with the Denver Broncos.
Okay. 29, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers.
This is where I put the Lions.
Rich, you're starting to make me worried about me putting the Raiders at 21. At 30, I finally put the Lions. Rich, I'm actually slightly surprised with you.
But why is that?
So in your own words, you just said, what have you done for me lately? What have the Lions done this week?
They beat a Bears team.
Okay.
They on the road, and the previous
and
week,
what's their record?
Packers. 3 wins.
Okay, how many wins do the Bears have?
The Bears have 3 wins.
So looking at two teams that have the same record, the team that beat the other one, you put below?
Yeah, I did.
Except when we look at the top, you did the opposite.
Yeah.
By the way, the Vikings are the Lions are on winning streak. The Bears are on a losing streak.
It's the Justin Fields fever right now.
Yeah, you got it bad.
The Bears are at least entertaining to watch, and the Lions have lost a lot of close games where the Bears have gotten a lot of their points in catch-up time.
Ooh.
So maybe those feelings will be reflected in my rankings next week.
Okay,
depending on how the Bears-Falcons game goes.
Yeah. So this week, I have the Lions at 30. I actually have the Lions below the Bears still, but if the Lions win another game, there's no doubt they're going to be well ahead of the Bears. So who do you have at 30?
This is where you put the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay, 31. Rich, who you got there?
The Vegas Raiders.
Wow.
I can respect the comments of saying, well, they've had a tough schedule because when you make the playoffs, the previous year, you tend to have a harder schedule the next year.
Yep.
But they have lost some close games.
Yep.
But
it's the fact that they have only won 2. I get it.
It's the fact that they've only won 2. And the 2 teams they've beaten, the Broncos, who I have in the bottom 5, and the Texans, who I have at the very bottom of the list. So when your 2 wins are against bad teams, it's hard for me to say that your 2 wins and a lot of close losses are better than some other teams' 3 wins.
Okay, I can respect that. 31 is where I have the Carolina Panthers. My prediction they're going to make the playoffs is all but over. And at 32, the Houston Texans. Is there anything to say about the Texans?
No, there isn't.
Okay. So
Hopefully they get some good draft picks this year. Hopefully they do well drafting.
Yeah. Let's move on to week 11. Rich, it's an odd week. You get to
It
pick
is.
first on the lock of the week. Who are you picking?
Well, Mike, I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers over the Arizona Cardinals. The
I lo-
Cardinals are, yep, the Cardinals are going to be playing their backup quarterback still, and the Niners seem to be slowly getting healthy and figuring things out with McCaffrey, getting McCaffrey in the fold. So
Yep.
I'm going to go with the Niners.
And I think that's a good pick. I think the Niners are going to get hot here. Look for them to make a playoff run. I think they will make a playoff run. I don't think they end up in the Super Bowl. I am going to take the Ravens over the Panthers. The Panthers team just looks terrible. So I'm going to pick the Ravens over the Panthers. Rich, upset
All right.
special. What you got cooking up? Oh, you got something else.
Yeah. So I actually thought about picking the Ravens over the Panthers, but the fact that when I picked against the Panthers as a lock of the week, they turn around and beat Tampa Tom. That's what kind of gives me I don't want to get burned again by picking against the Panthers. So more than likely, yeah, I think Lamar Jackson could go down and get the win though.
Okay.
For my upset special, it was kind of hard to find a good one that I really liked. So one that kind of stuck out to me was the Cowboys over the Vikings.
Wow. And
I don't
you're
know
not the
if
only
it's gonna
one,
come
Rich.
through.
And I'm not thinking um uh
It's just, I mean, it's one of those matchups. Yet the Vikings have been winning games, but they've been winning them in improbable ways, or winning. They've been winning ugly. They've been winning ugly, and this could be a game where Cowboys linebacker Micah Parsons gets through that offensive line and gives Kirk Cousins some fits.
see if they'll actually let me look at this. Okay. So and I'm not blaming you at all. I think this is huge disrespect in a lot of ways. The Vikings are they're one of the top 2 or 3 teams, and yet they're giving up a point and a half right now over the Cowboys.
And I think some of that has to do with the Cowboys being a team that has a national following, while the Vikings are
and it's at
probably-
home.
Yeah, a lot of the Vikings fan base is centered around that Minnesota, North Dakota,
Northern Iowa.
maybe Northern Iowa region.
Yeah, I don't get it. It is, to me, one of the biggest disrespects that I've seen in a long time. Long time.
All right, Mike. So, who are you taking? Who are you putting on upset alert?
I am actually going to put the Jets over the Patriots on upset alert. I don't understand how this is an upset. But again, the way we do our upsets, it's actually according to the pick differential on Yahoo, but they're giving up 3.5 to Pittsburgh or to New England in New England.
I like the pick. It's a divisional game, so you never know what's going to happen. And those two teams, for the Jets, it seems like everybody in that division wants to beat the Patriots.
Oh yeah.
Whether the Patriots are down on their luck or kind of floating around 500 like they are this year, or whether they're on their perennial playoff runs that they were on for so many years with Tom Brady behind center. So yeah, I could see the team getting up and viewing this as this could be our statement game. Let's get this one.
Yep.
Let's finally take advantage of the Pats while they're vulnerable.
So the Bears.
All right, Mike.
The Bears have to go down to Atlanta. What are you looking at?
Well, when we looked at the schedule during the preseason, I picked the Bears to win, so I'm gonna stick with it.
I'm not.
Sooner or later, the the offense that just the offense and the performance that Justin Fields is putting together has got to translate to a win. Um, so I'm gonna stick with what I said in the preseason, and hopefully, what I'm seeing on the field, they can finally get a win. And the Falcons aren't. I think the Falcons are doing better than a lot of people expected, but they're probably their for, their record is probably a reflection of how bad their division is right now, and getting a lot because a lot of their wins are against the teams within their division.
Yeah, I still think that the Bears haven't shown me anything that makes me believe yet. I'm picking Atlanta.
All right, Mike. So Thanksgiving, we got 3 games to pick for
Three
Thursday.
whole games.
3 games. So the first game, the early game, it will be on CBS. The Bills go out to Detroit. Who are you taking?
By the way, the Bills stay in Detroit. We forgot to mention that as the
Ooh.
Bills game is being moved to Detroit for Sunday's game.
Actually, for the last thing I heard on that was that they aren't in fact staying in Detroit in between weeks. They actually will fly back to Buffalo for some reason to keep a normal routine and then go back to the Detroit like they normally would as if the game wasn't relocated.
Okay, I think
I
that's
don't get it.
dumb.
I would
But
think that you would just stay there,
yeah,
but it is a holiday. You never know what the players are wanting to know
yep.
what condition their house is in, getting 6 feet of snow and the cold temperatures. But
I
I
I got NFL kind of money. You know what I'm doing? Hey, get over here and make it so I can get in and out of my driveway.
yeah, and I'm sure that's the case too. But sometimes the NFL players are a creature of habit, so they don't want to break up schedules either.
Sure. Okay, who you picking on
I
this
guess.
game?
All right, I'm going with the Bills.
Yeah,
All right, the
let's-
afternoon game will be on Fox, where the New York Football Giants will go down to the Big D to take on the Cowboys. Who are you taking?
I'm taking the Giants in this one.
All right.
That whole division, the Giants are a strong team this year. That whole division is beating up on each other. I'm pretty sure you had the Giants above, or you had the Giants just below the Cowboys in your power rankings. It's a divisional game. Anything can happen. They're both good teams this year. I'm going to pick the Giants.
I'm going to go with the home team here as the Cowboys. They won the first regular season matchup in the Meadowlands, so I think they can. I don't. So I think
Beating
the
a team
Cowboys
two
can-
times in a year is tough, Rich.
It is. It is.
I don't think the Cowboys can pull it off. Okay, then the Thanksgiving snap of the week is the Vikings versus the Patriots. You're going to be stuffed from your dinner anyway. Why do you care? Who you picking?
I'm going to go with the Vikings.
I agree. Vikings it is. And I don't think we have any NFL news this week. Other than
Not really.
other than the fact that the Bills game will be played in Ford Field.
So how do you feel about that one, Mike? Because I think football gets played in the elements.
Yeah.
They said it wasn't going to be snowing during the game, but it was just going to be maybe a cold and windy.
Okay, it's not about the play because they can get the field fine. That's not where we're at. What you got to understand, Rich, and this is the thing. It's the safety of the fans coming to the game.
Yeah, and I can understand that.
You got 15 tons of snow you have to deal with on the field, and you probably have 200 tons of snow to deal with in the parking lot, and then you got to get the fans from the parking lot to your field, or from their homes, their hotels to the game. There's no good way to do it in a safe manner, I think it's the right call. I don't like it. We have watched. I mean, it's at least once a year. The Buffalo Bills say, "Hey, if you come shovel out our stands, we'll give you a free ticket to a game."
Or they get something out of it. I don't know with the way NFL stadiums sell out, they could turn around and say, "Come shovel, you get a free ticket." But I'm sure the fans are getting something out of it.
Yeah, you get stuff out of it. It's a thing that Buffalo's used to. The hard part is that people travel for games. And so, yes, you are correct. Like, the Buffalo fans, those guys aren't going to have any problems. They're used to this. It's everybody else that's coming in town from Cleveland that won't quite be used to it. Cleveland doesn't get the same snowfall.
Yeah, and they also said that they didn't want to divert city resources away from essential what was needed to clear and make the city functional, just to get a parking lot cleared out, a parking lot and a stadium cleaned out, and the roads that lead into the stadium to get people to the stadium too. So I can get it. I think the Bills get a big advantage going indoors instead of having to play out in the elements in this, because I think the Browns have a much better run game.
Yep.
And in a close, cold weather, snowing game, you're going to want to run the ball, and it doesn't seem like when your quarterback is your best running back, that's not a good recipe for success if you're wanting to win a ball almost a possession battle.
Tell that to Mike
Vick.
The
ball on the ground. Tell that to Michael Vick?
Yeah.
Okay. And you can probably say the same about Lamar Jackson as well.
Yeah. I disagree with that, but I understand your statement, and I don't disagree with your statement overall. But yeah, I think they made the right call. I think it's going to be best for everybody. So, okay, let's leave the gridiron and head to the diamond as Pete Rose wrote a letter to Rob Manfred apologizing for his behaviors and asking to be reinstated into baseball. Thoughts?
I've always kind of held the opinion that why not reinstate him? Because by his numbers, he's a Hall of Famer.
Technically,
Mm-hmm.
Major League Baseball does not keep him out of the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame chooses to keep him out of the Hall of Fame because Major League Baseball has a lifetime ban. But it is not the lifetime ban that keeps him out of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, so I've always thought that why can't the Baseball Hall of Fame bring him in and not acknowledge what he did after his playing career ended, and not acknowledge his record as a coach?
Yeah. I don't disagree. It's one of those things that you have to look at, and you have to.
Yeah, and also I know that obviously if a player bets on the game, that it's right there in the rules. You cannot bet on games. But how much of the betting lines are talked about when they're broadcasting the games? There's sports books in a lot of stadiums.
Yep.
And a lot of teams their network is Bally Sports. Bally is a casino.
No, I totally agree. And that's the big problem right now, is that the MLB has embraced the betting world by storm. And so I agree he deserves some leeway. But here's the problem. What's the point of a lifetime ban? What's the point of a rule that says you are getting a lifetime ban? He broke the rule, correct?
Yes, he did.
He admits that he broke the rule, correct?
Yeah, he's admitted it.
He understood that if you break this rule, you get a lifetime ban, correct?
Yeah.
Rich, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Is it illegal for you to drive 100 miles an hour across the I-74 bridge?
Yeah, it is.
What happens if you do that?
I'd certainly hope I get pulled over.
You get a ticket. You probably lose your license for a little bit of time.
Hmm.
You let's say you choose to do that. You choose to drive 100 miles an hour over the I-74 bridge. When you get punished, do you say, "Well, I mean, yeah, I did it, and yeah, I deserve the punishment, but don't punish me"?
But using that analogy, I guess a little bit of eventually in your little scenario, your license would be suspended for a period of time, and then you would probably get it back. I
Okay,
mean, we've
but
gone through how
but
many
you
commissioners? We've gone through how many commissioners through that time?
but what's the penalty for betting on sports or betting on baseball?
It's a lifetime ban.
By the way, if you want to make that argument that it shouldn't be like whether or not it's a lifetime ban, how about shoeless Joe Jackson?
That's a
By the
valid
way,
point.
his life is over. He's dead. The lifetime ban should no longer be in place, and he should get his just rewards. But does the commissioner come out and do anything about it?
Not yet. If it's not come up as a veterans committee, or he hasn't been put on any sort of ballots that get voted on by the Hall of Fame members or Hall of Fame committees.
So you're telling me someone who served his life sentence, his lifetime ban, died. By the way, we've basically been able to prove shoeless Joe Jackson didn't participate in the points shaving, but he served a lifetime ban, and we're not up in arms to get him in the Hall of Fame, to get his records put back in the world. But you want to go to a guy who admits to the wrongdoing, knew what his punishment was going to be, and you want to let him back in the Hall? You want to let him back in baseball? I love Pete Rose. I think that the penalty is too harsh of a penalty. But he knew it when he went in, and he still chose to do what he did.
All right, I can respect that argument. So in the out of it, maybe. So I think it probably will take a. He gets. It'll be his son probably accepting the honor on his behalf because it's probably not going to happen within his lifetime.
I don't know that it won't. I don't know that it won't. But I also wonder why aren't we pulling.
And that's a valid point. Why aren't you pushing for Shoeless Joe Jackson?
Yeah.
Shoeless Joe to get in as well on those same grounds that there's no concrete evidence that he participated in the point shaving scandal of the Black Sox World Series, and if he took any payments, if there was any concrete evidence that he was guilty of that, but he was on that team and guilty by association.
And the entire team got a lifetime ban, and he served his lifetime ban. That's what I'm saying. He served his lifetime ban. We're on his grandkids serving their lifetime ban. Hashtag put Joe in.
All right. Good argument, Mike. I can respect that. So the other news to come out of MLB that kind of applies to us as Cub fans is the Jason Hayward era is officially over. As we talked about at midseason, Jeb Hoyer came out and said this is Hayward's last year.
Yep.
We're going to buy out his contract and give him his unconditional release at the conclusion of the season, and he's not going to come off the DL.
Yep.
So it's over. He'll be paid, to think of what is it, $24 million?
I thought it was 24 or 25.
One of those, $23 to $25 million to play baseball for somebody else, and he's got some deferred payments I think he's he's on the Cubs payroll till like at least 27 or 28
Yeah, it's dumb.
due to deferred payments.
It's all gonna be dumb. It sucks.
It was worth
Hamstring.
it that we got a World Series out of it, but
Did he contribute enough?
the speech. That's all everybody can talk about. The speech and him being a good clubhouse guy and winning some Gold Gloves, but
Okay.
eventually the numbers at the plate.
Yeah.
His numbers at the plate are what kind of doomed him and kind of had the fan base turn against him, though.
Okay. I mean, it's sad to see him go. I hope that he finds some place to land. And, I mean, the team needs to rebuild. They need to free up some money. And this isn't freeing up money, by the way.
This is freeing up a roster spot.
That's all it is. It doesn't free up any money. So we still have to pay those the taxes and fees that we have to pay for him. So that sucks. Okay.
All right, Mike. So the World Cup.
Yep. So the World Cup in Qatar, we are gonna see. I mean, this is probably our best U.S. team we've put forward. Likely to get out of the first round for the first time in a couple of decades. Are you excited, Rich?
I just don't know how to feel about World Cup soccer. I've never been a soccer fan. Watching it on TV, trying to watch it during the Olympics. Never really followed the World Cup, so maybe I'll watch.
So,
But I really don't know. But I don't necessarily have like that one team that I really want to see win either. So
tomorrow, Sunday, at 10 a.m., Qatar plays Ecuador, and then Monday is when games really start.
I thought Fox has been hyping up how the USA they were going to have the USA's first game on Sunday, on the Fox main network.
That's not what I'm seeing. Seeing Monday at 1 p.m.
Okay, maybe I'm misunderstanding the commercials. So, do you have a team, Mike?
You know what, the team that my favorite player in the Premier League, his team's not playing, so I mean, I don't want to pick France. I don't want to pick Brazil. They are the top two teams this year. They're likely going to be where everything's coming from. So I guess I'll go with Australia.
Okay. Yeah, the only other team that really pops into my head of maybe the England.
The English team is decent. They're not as. I mean, right now it's probably going to be like Brazil, France, Argentina, England. I think is 5, and I think Portugal is up there. Look out for the Belgian team. That's a team that you might want to look out for if you're putting a bet on it. They could surprise some people.
All right, so we'll try and be, especially with there not being much MLB news or news coming out of the other sports that we usually talk about, like NASCAR and MLB. So we'll try and work in some World Cup talk over the next couple of weeks, and especially once it gets a little bit closer to match play, to where you're getting into your semifinals and your finals.
Ooh, Rich,
so Mike,
you can watch games all day on Thanksgiving. Well, not all day. 4 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Thanksgiving Day. Who needs to watch a parade? Watch Portugal versus Ghana. Watch that on Thanksgiving Day.
You can. So, Mike, you put in here, is Qatar going to hurt global football due to no booze?
Okay, so this is more of a joke, but Qatar has announced that they are not allowing alcohol sales in the stadiums. You are allowed in your private only suites to have some beer. But Qatar has lightened up some of their rules and is allowing alcohol to be served around the area in very specific locations. Now, the reason I put this out there, people in England, most of the European countries are used to drinking beer while watching the game. Is it going to hurt it? No, not at all. I'm just bringing it. It's just a funny story.
Yeah, it is odd because before they were saying, yeah, we will allow alcohol sales, but it's going to be in non-prominent areas within the stadium.
Yeah.
And you can only buy and consume alcohol while the match is going on, not before the game, not after the game.
Yep.
You're certainly not going to take it out of the stadium with you.
Yeah.
So I guess you could see Anheuser-Busch as a main big sponsor of the World Cup.
They sent like something like 500 gallons or something. And they got told, nope, you can't. 5,000 gallon. I don't know, some ridiculously high number.
Yeah. So there will be Budweiser Zero.
Okay.
Bud Zero, available for sale. So I don't know. I mean, if anything, it shows that the country of Qatar did not want to sacrifice their values,
and I'm okay with that.
To fall into pressure from this big event that they're hosting to sell alcohol.
Yep. Okay. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. We're going to talk about The Masked Singer. If you don't want to know about it, have a good week. Okay.
All right. So, Mike, it was that wasn't Hall of Fame night. It was
Roast Night. Comedy Roast Night.
Roast Night, yeah. Comedy Roast Night.
Yep.
And so it saw John Lovitz giving clues as a roast, as a
kind of a roast master, I guess.
As a kind of a roast master, and you had Drew Carey come back on to present the winner of the night.
Yep.
So Mike, you had the Snowflake. The Snowflake.
Snowflake did well.
The next episode.
Yep. Snowflake did well.
Yeah, I liked it.
I did not like either of the other two.
All right, I didn't mind. The bride, the bridezilla, who was the first one eliminated that night after singing "White Wedding," and it was wrestling entertainer Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was an average performance. I mean,
he wasn't that good. I didn't think he was that good. He did a good job of playing it off like he was a rock and roller. I did not think he was that good. All
right. And Mike, the losing in the battle was the avocado. Who was the avocado, Mike?
Adam Correa?
Adam Carolla. Adam Carolla.
Yeah,
podcaster, former host of the Man Show. The Man Show on Comedy Central, and now does Loveline.
Yeah,
one of the hosts.
I think that's been canceled too, hasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, that show was. Oh, it was.
Yeah, for me, it almost seems like when the less elaborate the costume, that person's not going to be on the show very long.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. Either way, it wasn't that great.
No.
Neither one of them did that great. This last group has been the worst group that we've seen this entire season so far.
Yeah,
the Snowflake is the only person that's been worthwhile.
I'm sorry, who?
The Snowflake. I don't think anybody else deserves to go to the semifinals. I'm saying since last week when we had our group 3,
Yeah, the Hall of Fame night was
bad.
that was really disappointing.
Yeah.
Great
So
people to get on the show, but their singing performance wasn't the best.
yeah. Okay. So Rich, people are watching us on Facebook. They want to take
Which,
us on the road.
if you've made it all the way through, hats off to you, as it's 12:24 Central Time.
They might be watching later.
They could be. They could
So-
be. If you're watching live, thank you.
Yeah. Nobody's watching live. We've had a few people pop in here and there. Nobody's stayed long. Okay, Rich, they're watching on Facebook. They want to know. They want to listen to us on their car, on their daily commute. What should they do?
Look us up on wherever you find your podcasts. Apple, Google, Spotify, Anchor.fm, and anywhere else.
Yep.
Search for Balls and Sticks.
Look for us.
You'll find a picture of us looking like we're swinging baseball bats in tuxedos. So, Mike, they're listening to us in podcast land, and can you give them a couple ways that they can interact with the show?
So you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ballsandsticks, where you can watch the show live, get the notifications on when we go live, or you can check us out on facebook.com/fans of Balls and Sticks to participate in our poll questions. We also share the show, so it is live on there as well as we do it. Rich, they don't want to watch us on the Facebook. Where should they go?
You can also find us on the YouTube.
Yep.
And I think we got to give a shout out because somebody posted on our wall on the Facebook page, Fans of Balls and Sticks, a Mr. Jim Pearson.
Yeah, Jim Pearson. He's a friend
Jim
of mine
Pearson.
from the Quad Cities. He actually has a hot air balloon, and he's a guy that I knew for a bunch of years. Good guy. Great guy. Jim,
So yeah.
thanks for participating.
So Mike, I know we were doing this show really late at night for both us. Do we have any reaction or comment shout outs on live video before we give our shout outs and
We do not.
roll the outro? We do not. Okay. So one of the reasons that we're doing this show on Friday night, I had a family get together to go to out in for my Uncle Steve's birthday. So happy 70th to Uncle Steve.
Yeah, and then we're going up to Minneapolis to hang out with family for our Thanksgiving. So, okay, Rich, what should I do now?
Mike, go ahead and roll that outro.
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.